Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah, and in this video we're looking at two different very cheapo pressed particle board type bookshelves that we have that need a facelift. Now my kids have been on spring break and they wanted to tackle some projects. They've been inspired by all my flips, and so they wanted to do some of their own. So in this video a lot of the work is done by them, which makes this an easier flip for me in some ways. So this first bookshelf, it's a little beat up. There's somebody put some holes in the back of it. The screws have been plugged up with this, tape to hide the holes. We're going to take that off and try filling them, see if we can make that work. All in all, this first bookshelf is in pretty decent condition and should be a pretty simple flip. The second bookshelf is a smaller one my daughter's going to work on, and it has some water damage, but also not too bad. We're cleaning everything with Simple Green to get all the grease and grime and gunk off of this piece, and after washing it down with the Simple Green, we wipe it down with a damp towel to make sure there's no cleaning residue left on the pieces. Then we're going to go patch. So we're going to fill all the screw holes in the tall bookshelf with some wood filler, and the holes in the back I'm going to fill with Bondo. So I just use some painter's tape to give a kind of backing for the holes, and then lay it down on the back so that I can push up against it and push the Bondo into the holes. And once I'm satisfied with that, we're going to need to let that dry for a little while. Now on the little white bookshelf, it also had screws, but they stuck up, out of the shelf. So we tried to get a little wrench and push them down in, and that worked for a couple, but a couple they did not. So it'll be interesting to see how this looks painted with these screws sticking up, but we're going to do the best we can. Once we got all the holes filled with wood filler and they dried, we're ready to sand them smooth. Now I did realize after hand sanding most of the holes filled on the larger bookshelf that my orbital sanders did a much better job of sanding than by doing by hand. Usually if it's something small, I'll just do it by hand because it's quick, but these were not looking good. So I got the orbital sander out and sanded all of the spots on the brown bookshelf, the bigger one, but the white one I definitely did by hand because of the screws still kind of sticking up. I just tried to mound it a little. And then we needed to also sand, definitely with the orbital sander. I think I used an 80 grit sandpaper to sand those down, and then move to a 220 or something, maybe 180 on the Bondo, and got that as smooth as I could. Once we got a coat of paint on, though, I realized none of these spots I sanded very well. So you live and learn, right? Sand better next time. Then there was a part that was kind of coming off on the little white bookshelf, and we needed to glue that and clamp that down and see if we could get rid of some of that lump that was there. It definitely helped a lot, which I was glad, because I wasn't sure what to do with this big old lump before I realized it had cracked open. All right, we're making great progress. Not much has slowed us down. It is time to prime these two pieces. I want to get this done before spring break is over, and the kids were like, why do we need to prime it? Why can't we just paint it? The paint has primer in it, which is a valid question. However, with these being like a laminate type plasticky tops, I want to ensure that our paint sticks. So we were priming both pieces. The backing on the white bookshelf had water damage and like an oil spot. It was not usable. So I had to run to the hardware store and get a new backing, which who needs a truck when you got a minivan, right? And I needed to cut out the backing and then prime and paint that as well. For the tall bookshelf, it had those little sliding doors on the bottom. We needed to paint those. They were a little scuffed up. My son picked gold, and we're just giving them a bunch of light coats of this gold spray paint. All right, now on to painting. My son chose this Believable Buff for the back side of his bookshelf, and then we're going to do a green called Oakmoss on the rest of the bookshelf, and my daughter is using the same Believable Buff for her backing, and then using spiced cider to paint the base of her bookshelf. These are some fun colors. It'll be fun to see how this turns out. Now, once we got 2 coats of the backing on the tall bookshelf, the Believable Bluff, once that was dry enough, I went in and cut in the Oakmoss, which was a bit of a challenge, but I did not want to tape. I hate taping. So I messed up. I have been using really nice furniture paint lately, and I'm not used to the runny, regular Valspar paint, and I'm used to 2 coats being enough, and I think I didn't want to do a 3rd coat, so I think I did this too thick, and it's runny. It's all drippy. It looks so bad. I feel so bad I did this to my son's bookshelf. I've never done this before. I'm always so careful. This is such a mess. While the green bookshelf dries and I come up with a plan to fix all that smeared paint, I do need to put a 3rd coat on the smaller bookshelf. The kids are all back in school now, so I'm finishing these up for them, and hopefully tomorrow we can fix the green one, finish all this up, stage, and go into a final reveal. I just grabbed a little craft brush from my daughter's craft supplies to get in these little areas that I need to touch up just so it looks a little better. And then it's time to attach the backing to the smaller bookshelf, and I realized this will be a lot easier if I lay it down. So once I got it centered and set to where I would like it, I laid out the nails and hammered that boy on. There were a ton of nails that came on the original one, and I used them all because I figured I guess it needs it. This smaller bookshelf had a very smooth top, and I did not scuff sand it, and I'm regretting that because as I put this shelf in, it scratched the paint off way too easy. Another part got scratched off as well on the outside. That tells me this paint is not holding well at all, and I should have scuff sanded. I'm going to patch it up with my finger real quick. This will just have to do as it is what it is, but I'm making a mental note, either scuff sand or don't paint pieces like this. This is not the best. Or use furniture paint, like a high quality, not just regular Valspar. I'm attaching the handles on the bigger bookshelf, and we're going to stage this and be done. Now, I did not do anything to touch up the drippy paint. I told my son, I was like, you won't really see it from far away, it's fine. I would never sell something with drippy paint like this. Just if you're selling stuff, that is not acceptable. But this is in a kid room. I don't know that this will be used that long, so we're just going to go with it. It'll be fine. But you'll see that in the final reveal. Yeah, it's a little not the best, but it was a good learning experience. It was a good project. So we're going to look back at where we started with real quick and then see how these turned out. They did turn out great. It was worth it. Good beginner project for the kids. Good spring break project. Good upgrade. It was good. And it's always good to learn along the way. So enjoy the final review, and I'll catch you in my next video.